Well, welcome to GMS Late Night Live Chat. This is the first weekend after a long break. While I was in Japan, Kyoto, right, visiting my daughter, celebrating birthday there. Well, and of course, sad to say, this is the first time I visited Japan, and first experience so-so. But I think there are a lot of things that we can learn from it. However, let's definitely, we do not have a funny type of things happening down there like what we have down here. You see, the Marine Parade Saga, right? After pointing out their stupid mistakes LTF have made, you know, and they came up with this solution. Actually, is it meaningful or not? The screen is so small, right? Right on top, and people ask me, then what's wrong with this solution and all that? I'll tell you why. You expect people to keep looking up at the roof, right? 抬起头做人啊 you know, and this monitor is so small, and I think there are a few of them, 3 of them at least, down here that we can see. And the maintenance cost, right? And it's exposed to the element, is very easy to spoil. My goodness, right? I do not know why, right? But we need to know why this is happening to Singapore, right? The first principle is you should not make such error. People are doing things without thinking, without due consideration. Right? And LTA has proven to be a department, a stat box that have been making a lot of mistakes. From, well, simply go, didn't think through carefully, and try to implement and we find the flaws, right? Anyhow, deduct without knowing, and people start to give comments and distrust of the system altogether, and they have to stop it and spend another 40 million, right, just to extend the exact link card. OBU is basically a junk, right? I think they try to improve it. I've not seen the new one, right? But easy to spoil. So any monitors like this, like small monitors, big monitors, when they're exposed to the element and heat, it will go away very fast. Right? And who is going to pay for it if it doesn't work? We, the motorists. And we have the breakdowns. We have MRT breakdowns, long breakdowns. We have all this funny design of bus stops. You know, Singapore has never been so bad before, right? Especially in terms of public transport. It is bad. And yet they want to charge us more fares in spite of all these boo-boos. And they have the cheek to say that, oh, you know, increase of fares have nothing to do with the performance or the breakdowns of the MRT. Really. Then we have Mr. Sito, who is very concerned about hawker culture, who made a complaint about Kopokun, right? Who made a statement to say is that, you know, he's trying to justify that rental is not an issue to hawkers, right? Because according to a NEA, right, National Environment Agency survey, right, the cost of food ingredients accounted for nearly 60% of operating costs in average in 2023. Now, these scholars basically have no experience in running business. Definitely not F&B. Right? I have always tell people I'm proud to be the son of an illegal hawker, so to speak. Right? I'm more or less in the F&B, food and beverages industry, because I supply my tea, my Akbar tea, to restaurants and cafes and all that. I used to have friends who are hawkers, right? And the rule is very simple. The cost of the food, whether it's being a hawker or being in the restaurant, should not be more than 30%. Normally, it's 20%, 25%. So I do not know how Koh Kun's NEA can come up with such a survey to say that food is 60% of the cost. So nothing to do with the rental, nothing to do with the utilities, which is actually rental in hawker centers is actually referring to NEA responsibility. So they want to wash away their responsibility by telling people, oh, rental is not a major issue. It's actually the cost of the raw materials of food. I believe they are mistaken because they did not take into account of labor. If they take into account of labor, in transit value of labor, right, the cost of it is only 30%. And Mr. Sito is right. I believe he has more credibility than all these scholars who have never worked in the private sector or being an entrepreneur themselves to be a hawker. Right? Mr. Sisto, I respected him because he is always fighting for the hawkers. He wants to preserve the hawker centers. He wants to preserve the hawker culture in Singapore, and rightfully so. Right? He must have spoken to a lot of hawkers, and he said the same thing. It should not be more than 30% for food, which means rental is a huge part with utilities and all that. And I can tell you what's wrong with Singapore culture. Hawkers are, okay, don't say hawkers lah. Coffee shop is the same. Right? Some social enterprise, I was told by some of hawkers what was happening right now. Okay, on the service, social enterprise kept the rental low. But you know what? They squeeze the hawkers from other things. Wow, you must use the same plates, the standardized plate, which you have to buy from them, the supply. And they charge higher for those collection of the plates and the dishes and the washroom. And even if you don't use their service of their service, you have to pay also, right? I have a friend who used to sell pies, chicken pies, right, in Circuit Road, the Miss person. He was complaining to me. He said, I sell my pie. I don't have plates for my customer. They always buy and go, right? Take away. Why should I be charged for the right cleaning of plates and cleaning of plates? That's what he asked me. He felt unfair, right? But they are made to pay for all these accessories, and that's how they make money, right? And they have to use city gas. Well, they can't have their own gas, of course. Okay, fine. So city gas actually, that means city gas is a gas pipe by the government Akong. So city gas is more expensive than the tank one. Okay, many of you would not know the difference. Never mind, it's okay. So in some coffee shop, I was told, my favorite zhap cai peng. The boss shifted the stores from one part of Ang Mo Kio to the other part of. Then she complained to me, when I shifted here, the gas more than doubled, right, in costing. I asked her why. In the old place, you also use the same gas, right? She said no. Down here, right, have to get the gas for the coffee shop owners, right? And most of the coffee shop owners have a card from the guests. So that's one layer after one layer. That's how coffee shop owners, right, apart from a renter, they earn from all these things, all this stuff. That's why when you increase GST, everything increase one, right, by layers and layers. So they do not understand the difficulties of hawkers, whether it's in coffee shop, right, store owners or the hawker centers, to run a business like that. Hawkers used to be reserved for street hawkers, right? Those hawker centers first came out because in the past there were a lot of street hawkers, so they have to collect to clear the street hawkers. So they put them into those markets, the hawker centers in the HDB area. That's how it comes about. And for people who are low, without any skill set, right, without much education, right, it provides avenues for them to earn a living. But now hawker centers are different, right? You can see it was run by different entities other than individual entities. Okay? And you know what? Pricing, rental pricing is not the only way to determine the distribution of hawker stores. If you go by pricing stores, definitely the highest bid will get, right? But the highest bid may not be the one who give value for money for the people when you come to hawker food. And that is what we are facing right now. Right? When I travel to Japan, right, I have to eat in restaurants and cafes because there's no hawker centers like ours or coffee shop. And people complain or say, "Oh, Singapore very blessed, we have cheap hawker foods and coffee shop, coffee time." It's correct, but it's different setting. You cannot compare apple with oranges. When I go to Japan, the restaurants and cafes, right, a small simple meal will cost about $10 Singapore dollars, but that is in restaurant or cafes, right? It is not in hawker center. Now you go to kopitiam and hawker center, cao, $7, $8. That's how you get it. Of course, in Japan restaurants, if you ask for drinks and all that, it may cost about $20. But it's normal. In Singapore restaurants, you may not get that price, right? But regardless of that, we are fortunate to have our cheap hawker food and kopitiam. But if we continue to allow PAP to do what they are doing right now, right, even our cheap hawker food become expensive. Right? And people say, "Oh, Japan, their wages, the income per capita is very low compared to Singapore and all that." But do you know that Japanese Gini coefficient is 0.29 only? Singapore, without those CDC vouchers, those so-called government transfer, is 0.44. Even after all this transfer is 0.39. It's still much higher than Japan. So you must look at things in proper context. It means that in Japan, wages are more or less more equal. Down here, because we keep getting millionaires, billionaires to come to Singapore, and of course the disparity in wages, right? Because we have foreign talent who earns a lot of money, right? When you compare that, right, it's a different story, right? How much a local earns in comparison, that is important. So that's my Japanese experience. And although Japanese do not have hawker centers, kopitiam, they have the 7-Eleven, Family Mart, right, and Lawson. These are the mini mart. But their mini mart are not expensive. In Singapore, if you walk into a 7-Eleven, right, one Coca-Cola, bottle one, 500 ml, without discount, right, without offers, is normally 250, 230, 250. In Japan, it's 170 yen, which is amount to $1.50 or $1.60 Sing dollars. Okay? And the 7-Eleven provides cooked food, right? A lot of cooked food, which is actually comparable to Singapore hawker centers or kopitiam. It's just that you cannot sit down and eat there. But it's all prepared. Quite decent food. It costs about 700 yen normally to 900 yen. Or slightly, the better one, more atas one is about 1,000 yen, which is about $8-9 at most. Almost comparable to our kopitiam right now. Just now I went to kopitiam to have soup and rice. It cost me about already $8. Kopitiam, not restaurant. Restaurant is much higher. See? We should not kill our hawker centers. It's not just about being a heritage, but it is a means. It is a very important means of convenient cooked food for majority of Singaporeans. Of course, those who are very rich one, I have known people who have not visited hawker centers before in their whole life because they are very rich, filthy rich, so to speak, the crazy rich Asian, right? But 80% of Singaporeans live in HDB, right? If they continue to allow this to go haywire, right, the cost of living will come down on everyone who lives in HDB. Right? I live in HDB, put it that way. So we should treasure our hawker culture. Right? That is important. So stop giving excuses by using such a survey. Wow, he'll use a very big word. Wow, NEA survey. What type of survey you are doing? Ask me lah. I'm in the F&B industry. Ask me. No need to survey one. Right? Ask me. Of course, there are certain hawker stores which has very low rent. But more and more of these hawker stores are over bidding, right? Open bidding and all that, getting more and more expensive. Why? Hawker centers are actually shrinking. They are no longer building hawker centers in new places. They do, right? They build in community centers like our Tampines hub, right? But those hawker stores are very expensive, I believe, right? The new type is not like the old estate. Hawker centers are built in very simple form but cheap rent. And now they have social enterprise to take over. I don't see any value add in this social enterprise running these hawker centers. In fact, I heard quite a number of grumbles, right, from the hawkers in these hawker centers run by social enterprises. They have certain criteria, but they take the money from another matters. Right? So a lot of people tell me, don't look at the price alone, the rental alone. You must look at the whole package, what they are offering. Right? It is true. Right? It is true. Maybe the scholars are not street smart enough, know how people work their way, right, by charging more money by other means other than the rental. Okay. Something about COVID. Right? COVID vaccine. Well, Trump comes out I believe a lot of people believe he will do something about the COVID vaccines investigation and all that. But before that, this letter comes from an Indian politician who are former minister, cabinet ministers in Moody's government. What happened was his wife, he's a doctor, I think, right? His wife actually took the vaccine. Very funny, huh? I don't quite understand what happened actually. Right? It says in 2020, I think most probably end of 2020, his wife took a vaccine while she contracted COVID. Most probably these people are very wealthy one because they are the ruling class, right? Right? They are the ruling class. Okay. So his wife took a vaccine. Right? The COVID didn't kill her, but she suffered kidney failure. Right? Injury impacted her kidney. And she was dead in August 2024. Okay. This is what happened. He's a professor, Professor Thomas, K.V. Thomas. Right? Professor Samo. Because all those who believe in the Western medicine will definitely know that about mRNA technology. They thought that it is something great, something breakthrough, new technology and all that, but they throw safety profiles out of the window. Right? So he's actually asking the Prime Minister Modi to do an investigation. No. Only when your own loved ones suffered, then you think about the safety of the vaccine. Safety should come first before even you push to the mass, the people. It's not after it cause harm. Okay lah, 先知先觉 is me lah, 后知后觉 is him lah. Right? But there are people who 不知不觉, right? It means even something happened to their families, their father, their mother, their grandchildren, right? They also 傻傻的, right? Still didn't question about the safety of the vaccine. It's just too bad, right? But at least this Professor Thomas wrote a letter, open letter, to the Prime Minister of India. We will start to see a lot of this. I just have a meeting with my friends and all that. All of them told me they start to observe their family members, their associates, right? Their clients start to have aggressive cancer, which we term it as turbo cancer. Right? Someone was just telling me his client, right? In the beginning of the year, she was diagnosed with a small little lump at the breast cancer. Only after 3 months, the lump, the tumor, becomes 9 cm. Right? And she was shocked. And the doctor also shocked because breast cancer normally don't develop so fast. Right? And the doctor said, you must have a operation to cut away the breast immediately. Such situations are very rare in the past, but now is becoming more and more common. Not only the breast cancer, other cancers also. Very fast. Lung cancer especially, right? Stomach cancer. Stomach cancer used to be very slow one, right? The tumor growth. Right? The tumor growth is supposed to be very slow one. But it's very aggressive. Within 2 months of diagnosis, immediately blow up. But people don't question. Is it because of vaccine? Nobody knows. I'm not saying it is, but at least we must go and find out, right? What is actually happening nobody is interested. But I believe, I do believe in other places like England. England actually have stopped giving free COVID vaccine to pregnant women and decided to stop, right? From next year onwards, the beginning of next year. They didn't say why, they didn't say explain, but they just said they will withdraw the free vaccine for pregnancy, right? While you withdraw this from pregnant women, the free vaccine from pregnant, but not other people, then you know why lah. They just refuse to say the obvious, right? We already know why, okay? Right? Then people start to talk about Remdesivir. Right from the start, Remdesivir was used. I was the first to raise alarm about it because I have friends, right, who have gone through, who have seen their associates gone through the Remdesivir treatment, didn't come out well. Some might have recovered, but hardly breathing, breathless when they're after recovered. And they quietly removed Remdesivir as a treatment for COVID infection without telling anyone why. But we know why. Because it's not effective and it's harmful. Right? There are so many cases. Right? What I want to say is responsibility, accountability. Luckily, not many people can afford Remdesivir because one treatment costs $3,000. Right? So you can imagine some of my friends are pretty rich people. They go for that treatment and they cannot. And too bad. They didn't listen to my live chat back in 2020, right, where I have raised alarm about Remdesivir. Well, just today, PAP Party Conference elected a new CEC for the PAP. These are the PAP new CEC. I want to talk about PAP's new CEC election. Basically, they are the ruling party. We cannot deny that whoever runs this party are very important because they are the ruling party. And they have been dominating, not only the ruling party, but they have been dominating the political scenes, right, for the past 50, 60 years. Right? So, whatever happened to this party is very important. And this party conference is biannual. That means every 2 years they will have to have an election. So during this big party election, a lot of coverage. And Lawrence Wong, the incoming Secretary General of PAP, and of course the Prime Minister right now, says that, the party must unite and face the opposition risk. What opposition risk? Are we terrorists? We are the risky? I don't mean to give Lawrence Wong a lesson of democracy, right? But I just want to remind him, without opposition, there's no democracy. Unless he's telling us that he doesn't believe in democracy, then don't pretend. Just declare, right, one party rule. No need to have election. Right? Opposition is not a risk. Right? Opposition is a necessity for the government. I'm not saying only for Singapore, for the government. Why? Because opposition parties play a role in providing the checks and balances within the governance. Right? It is a risk to the ruling party, not to Singapore. Okay. Of course, without opposition, without a fear of losing power or losing seats, the ruling party like PAP will do whatever they like without checks and balances. Right? But it is because we have an alternative party in waiting. Right? If you do wrong, you will be kicked out and you'll be replaced. That put them, all of them, on their toes. So opposition is not a risk. When I hear that, when I read that, wow, what nonsense are you talking about? Opposition has risk. Right? Opposition have no risk. In fact, opposition is a necessity, not a risk. Okay? In a democracy, unless you are telling me, as again, you do not believe in democracy. Right? So that's number one. Number two, he says, oh, if they are not careful, they will lose 2 or 3 more GRCs. And not only 2 or 3 more GRCs, they will lose the ministers. Hey, wait, it's not about 2 or ministers. It's not our doing, your party is the one, right, we came up with the idea of a GRC, right, to put your minister to lead a GRC in order to preserve your power. Because you know that if you do not do that, you're going to lose more seats, right? Because your all those other MPs who have no substance, who just write on the tailcoat, who hardly speak in parliament, hardly seen in the parliament, because we always see empty chairs and empty tables, right? Will lose their seat. That's why you came out with a GRC. And now when you want to, you have this fear of losing a GRC, you are threatening Singaporeans, right, to say, oh, you must be careful, don't anyhow vote, else we'll lose more ministers. Hey, it's not our fault, It's your fault, Your own doing. It's karma. So if you do not want to lose so many ministers, very simple. Revert back to all SMC, all no GRC, don't need GRC. Revert back. Very simple. Right? Who says minority candidates like Malay or India cannot win on their own accord? Who says so? Murali is an Indian, but he won Bukit Batok as a single seat. Right? Last time, Michael Palmer, right, a Eurasian, even smaller minority race, also won Congo East. Who said minority cannot win? JBJ, opposition. Right? A minority candidate also win in Anson. You are the one who set the structure. And when it is not going to be in your favor, you complain about it. What nonsense. Right? Then he starts to say, oh, the high cost of living, right? We opposition are capitalizing on that. What do you mean by capitalizing? Right? But we do not have solution. Hey, wait. If an MP don't say opposition or not, right, doesn't reflect the voices of the ground, then what is he good for? What do you mean by capitalizing? Whether I'm opposition or the PAP, the ruling party, it is my job to reflect the sufferings of the people to the power that be. Your own MPs don't say that, that's your problem, But when we even we are not even elected as opposition politicians, right? We raise it. It's not about being capitalizing. It's real on the ground. It's just that those $1 million pay ministers doesn't feel the pinch because you don't eat out in hawker centers often. You don't go to kopitiam. You don't even know how much does a coffee cost. You didn't even know how much it have increased over time. Maybe increased 30%, right? From $1.20 to $1.60, $1.50, or from $1 to $1.50, 50%. It didn't even pinch you, although the percentage is big because it's only 50% increase, 50 cents increase. To you, it means nothing, but to everyone, it means a lot in HDB. Right? It's just our job to reflect the reality on the ground. And you say we are capitalizing. You say we do not have solution to it. Oh, and then you start to say, oh, it's because it's a global phenomena. Other countries also feel the pinch of high inflation. I tell you what, correct. Every country feel the problems of supply chain, right, issue that cause a rise in the prices. Freight charges increase, food charges increase, food costs increase due to the war in Ukraine and all that. But I tell you what, something is special about PAP. In other places, I believe hardly any government in the world, in other places, will add on to the burden of their people during these difficult times of high inflationary pressure by adding taxes, GST on their people. But you did it, Lawrence Wong. You are the one who decided to increase 2%, right? A total of 2%. Year by year, 1%, 1%. And you dare to say that it have nothing to do with you? It's just like sticking two steps on our back, when we are suffering. 在我们背后插多2把刀啊 right? When we are already suffering high inflation costs, you just step it in. You added on to the sufferings. And that is why, in spite of the fact that you increase only 2%, right? Your GST collection is so much, increased by so much. And don't tell me you didn't realize that you make a bloody mistake. You know what? Lawrence Wong is trained, is educated in economics. He's not an economic idiot, right? I think he got the honors in economics, if I'm not wrong. But even A-level econ students understand this simple rule. When you have an inflationary pressure, you do not go and increase GST. Which school of economics do you stay and study? But you did it. And you start to blame us without a solution. At least we did not provide your solution of increasing GST when there is an inflationary pressure. when I read what he said, I got fed up. I really got angry. Right? Trying to wash away his hands responsibility of blaming us for capitalizing on this issue and not providing a solution. Come on, man. Be a man. Be responsible for what you have done. Right? I believe you must realize in private that, oh shit, what have I done? And start to try to redeem himself by keep giving money throughout. Like $200, $600, and then also give money, right? Because election is coming, people are unhappy, right? GST collection is so much in excess. Come on. We are not the one who says that COE is going to stay constant, which resulted in a boom, shot up in the COE prices. Then you come and go stun, right? Do a U-turn. Oh, with the OBS, maybe we can give more COE next round and all that. Hey, don't bullshit me. You know that you made a bloody mistake. How can you expect COE not to shoot up, affecting everyone? Don't talk about it. Is a mistake to think that COE shooting up only affect a few, the filthy rich people who have cars. Is wrong. Why? Because businesses need vehicle goods. When the COE for the vehicle goods also shoot up to 60,000, 70,000, these costs were transferred to the consumers. Right? So you make a mistake, you go stun, return, and you rubbish justification, excuses for OBS, but your OBS is not stuck working right now. So why you U-turn? Continue your projection. Keep what? Because you want to keep carbon emission zero, so you want to control. Wow, you want to keep increasing population. I think you are crazy. You want to increase population size, continue to increase population size, which I've shown that is actually projected to be 10 million people population by 2065, without increasing the number of vehicles. Are you crazy or what? It's a no-brainer. I can't believe that you have honors in economics. Basic demand and supply. And you expect COE don't shoot up. You expect transportation costs will not shoot up. And you dare to say it have nothing to do with you, but world economy. I tell you what, Lawrence, you have lost the plot. Your party, under your leadership, have made so many grave mistakes, which evidently increases the pressure on the cost of living in Singapore. And don't try to shy away from your responsibilities. Just admit it. You made a bloody mistake. Putting more money into the people will not solve the problem, but simple economics will push the inflation rate even higher, because you are throwing oil into the fire. Liquidity cash, you are trying to solve the inflation by throwing more cash into the system. Are you crazy or what? Not that I don't like people to give me money, Not that I don't like PAP to give money, but that's not the way. You have to solve the root cause. You want to say I don't give you any policy ideas? Very simple. I've already given. I think not only me, other opposition leaders have already mentioned this. Make an exemption of GST on the necessity, the food items, the raw food items. And that will immediately cut the cost of food supply. Your party have been saying that, it's impossible, this and that. It's not impossible. This is nothing new. In fact, other countries have been doing it. Even Malaysians are doing that. Not to mention UK. All necessities, including medicine. Imagine public hospital also charge GST. No, just remove it. That's how you do it, right? Why can't you do it? Okay? So don't say we do not have any solutions. We do, but you didn't listen. You didn't want to follow. Right? You didn't admit that it is possible, but you refuse to do it. Right? Okay, Billy Billy Kok Long. You cannot give money that. Why you say that? Why I say that? It's very simple economics terms. Right? Demand and supply. What will actually increase the demand? Right? Price is determined by demand and supply. When you have additional liquidity, that means cash, throw it into the system, demand will increase. It will shift. When it shifts, the price will go up. It's a simple thing. Even the A-level econ students will understand that. Right? You are going to push the price higher and higher. And in real terms, in a real economic situation, when price go up, hardly it will come down. Unless it is really bad recession. Do you want that? Right? So when I look at what Lawrence Wong is saying, I'm disappointed. My PAP friends, my friends in PAP, always tell me, Lawrence Wong is a man of his own mind. He has his own thinking. Right? He'll retire the old ministers, right? The old MPs. You want to get his own 4G team. But first of all, hey, your 4G ministers are boleh or not? Chi Hong Tat, are you sure? Once they come into to become a transport ministers, I already listed, right? COE screw up, right? Mismanage until price shoot up, right? Everyone complain. Simply go, everyone complain. MRT breaks down, everyone complain. Boleh or not? I think tak boleh. Cannot make it. Right? Oil spill 3 times. And the response time improved lah, okay? But the first one really jialat. It took 12 hours for them to respond. We are trying to be reasonable here. But really, are they reasonable towards us? They only know how to hamtam bola, hamtam the opposition, charge the opposition for this, POFMA opposition for that, POFMA the critics, right, for whatever, right? But when it comes to problem solving, they cannot solve. Cannot solve, never mind. You add on to the problem. Make stupid decision. And then blame us for not providing you the solutions. Hey, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with the whole PAP 4G guys? I really cannot figure it out. Right? Now, Lawrence Wong also say something. He said this. He highlights the leadership renewal. But look, is that true or not? Right? Is that true? Among the CEC members that was elected, 换汤不换药, we call it, hardly any changes. The only changes is what? The only changes I think is Ng Chi Meng. Right? He wasn't elected at all. He was in the CEC, in the past CEC. Let's us take a look. Right? OCEC. Right? Heng Swee Keat, right? Masakos, still in. Right? Lawrence, Chan Chun Seng, Desmond, Shamugan, Ong Yi Kang, Grace Hu, right? This one Alex not in. This one is my MP not right now. Indrani is in. Josephine Teo not in. Right? Ng Chee Mei is out. Right? Viva Balakrishnan. Alex Yam. This one. Right? Those are actually co-opted later. I do not know what they are going to co-opt lah. But look at this way. 换汤不换药. How many changes? Those officially elected one. Only one. That's Ng Chee Mei replaced by, who is this? Edwin Tong? Is it Edwin Tong? If I'm not wrong. Right? And Chi Hong Tak is the only one were co-opted, so-called. But did he really perform well or not? The one who says that the increase in MRT fares have nothing to do with the performance of MRT. Performance in terms of a breakdown of MRTs. I believe he didn't work in the private sector any day of his life, right? Or do any business. If you don't perform and you start to screw up and your whole system screw up and you still expect an increment in your salary. It's basic logic, right? A lot of people make noise to me. I say, wow. What? Did they actually dump the concept of meritocracy? And that is the fundamental question I want to ask. The Red Dot heroes, Shanmugam and Vivian Balakrishnan, created such a havoc. Right? Well, of course, CPIB clear them, own self check own self by their own ministers, clear them of any wrongdoing, whatever. But are we convinced? Are you convinced? Right? Are you convinced is what they have done is right? Right? It's proper. Put away the legality of that legal stuff about it. Are you convinced it's right? Ministers are given very high pay, right? But last time ministers are not given high pay, huh? They are not the first minister who stay in black and white bungalows. Why I say that? Well, if I remember correctly, right, at one point of time, some ministers, PAP ministers, the old pioneer ministers, do stay in black and white bungalows, right? But it's because of certain criteria. They are not paid very highly. So it's a kind of certain benefits to them. Right? But now is the different one. You pay what? The top salary in the world, for political appointees. Right? And yet, we have this system. No wonder my friend told me someone actually want to stay in black and white bungalow also. So in HDB, outside also put the black and white curtains, right? Those are rolled out curtains. No lah. No matter what price, what rental you pay, people will talk about it. Right? You cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. Especially when your place is so big, so huge. It's not convincing. You can try to make believe that it's all proper, so-called. But really, majority of Singaporeans are not convinced. Yet, after this big hoo-ha, Shanmugam and Vivian Balakrishnan still elected, directly are not co-opted, elected to the PAP CEC. But Ng Chee Mei, right, by the meritocracy, although not directly seen as making a big mistake, but the NTUC income saga, although he represents the so-called the labor, right? The labor union, he was not elected. Now, by right, PAP have many different factions, right? Labor union is one of the big factions. But I was surprised, right? Ng Chee Meng, who represented the labor union, didn't get elected, right? Okay lah, you can say, okay, they are fair. They dump him, right? Throw him under the bus because of the NTUC income saga. Fine. Right? But how about Chee Hong Tat? No other ministers or no other better candidates. You want a renewal as a new PM, Prime Minister. Even the one that you selected to be your DPM, Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong, who used to be a chairman of a PAP, wasn't even elected into the CEC. Then it really makes me wonder what leadership renewal are you talking about? If your own party, so-called CEC, hardly changed, right? Well, rightfully so, he was talking about, maybe those who, somehow, who have been 3 or 4 times MP or minister already, we have to step down. But by the look of this CEC lineup, all right, I doubt he can carry that out. Okay? Now, party politics is very complicated, very complex one. Right? It is understandable for any party, whether big or small, will have faction. Right? Will have faction. It's natural. That's a human being response. But if you want to be a prime minister, you got to have good mandate from not only for the people, but for your own party. If you can't even get your deputy prime minister to be elected into your CEC, that shows that your authority is actually being compromised. Okay? That's how a politician like me will actually look at it. Are you sure or not? Lim Pei says he is going to be my second in charge, but the party cadres don't give me face. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Right? If you want to be at the top of the pyramid of power, there should be no doubt of your authority. Or else, people will look at you and say, hey, are you serious? What you say will jalan or not? What you promise, what you say, right? Will it be carried out by your colleague? You talk about renewal, but hardly any renewal. I think Lawrence Wong have a serious problem internally. Right? Internally. Nobody likes to step down from power. And when you start to talk like, oh, maybe those people who have 3 rounds or 4 rounds being MP or minister should actually step down, wow, it's too premature. 你的屁股都还没有坐稳，你 talk like that. Then you will face revoke. Revoke among the rank and files. And you do not have the support of the biggest faction or multiple faction. right? Your wish and your vision will be compromised. Authority will be compromised. How would other countries look at you as a prime minister? You can't even get your own house in order. To get the team that you want to be in your CEC, the highest supreme power of your party. My friend in PAP says that, oh, don't be envy about Lawrence Wong. Well, he will have a good 20 years. I look at him and I smile. I say, it would be great if he can survive for 3 years. Right? Maybe if this coming election the party didn't perform well, right? Somebody will find some excuse to actually say, hey, under your leadership cannot, please step down. How? So it is not just about PAP's party internal problem. It will affect the country overall because we are not used to see a weak leadership for Singapore. A leadership that could be easily compromised, which authority can be easily compromised or undermined. Right? So it's not about opposition undermining PAP, undermining our Prime Minister. Right? To me, it seems that before we can win any seats, do anything, right, in the next election, right, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong already being compromised or undermined by his own party cadres. But I say, good luck to you, Lawrence. Right? I seriously hope, no matter what is the outcome of the next general election, you can hold your party together and continue to have a support of your party. Right? Well, Lawrence says that, it's very dangerous with the opposition risk. It's very dangerous for opposition to win more seats. But look, he says that, we should not be afraid that there is no opposition in Parliament because they reserve 12 seats. Right? If it's less than 12, then we have NCMP. If there's 0 seats, 0 opposition, we have 12 NCMP. But I tell Lawrence, I'm going to tell Lawrence this. Our existence as an opposition is not at the mercy of PAP. It is in the hands of the voters. Right? The so-called 12 seat is not your 恩赐, your grace that give you. No, we don't want that. I, for one, will not accept any NCMP seats. If I'm being rejected by the people, so be it. Right? Not only we must have the iron in us, we must have the backbone in us as a politician. So don't give this false assurance. Oh, never mind, you don't vote for any opposition also can. We guarantee 12 seats, NCMP seats. No, that's not the case. Right? We do not need your grace or 施舍，我们不需要你的施舍。Right? And in fact, I'm going to tell all the voters, don't be afraid of PAP losing power. Even if PAP lose 50% of the seats, PAP will still be the ruling party in a ruling coalition because PAP will still have the majority of seats. Right? Why? Hey, let's be realistic about this. People's Association have $1 billion annual budget. to support all the grassroots network that works for the PAP, regardless whether it's in PAP wards or opposition wards. It's under control, tightly under control of PAP under the PMO. You expect with a $1 billion budget every year, they will lose power? Let's be realistic about this. No. Even if PAP lose half of the seats, they will still be the major party in parliament, and by the constitution, the president, which was a former PAP man, will appoint PAP to form the coalition government. Right? So all this fear-mongering of losing power and Singapore in turmoil and all that is rubbish. Not in my lifetime. Okay? I can tell you, even as an opposition leader, right, I can tell you safely it's not in my lifetime. Right? Don't use such fear-mongering. Vote according to your heart. If you feel that we need more checks and balances, then vote in more opposition members. If you feel that we should deprive the ruling party of 1/3 or 2/3 majority, so to prevent them from anyhow suka go and change constitution, vote more opposition parties members. 12 is not enough, right? 1/3 is about 20 to 30, 25 to 30, 30 seats. No, sorry, 30 over seats, 35 seats. Right? We are far away from 35 seats. We have only 10 seats right now. Right? If you feel that you want to keep PAP competent, up on their toes, and not like that, or suka got problems, say not their problems. Right? Then we need to vote in more option members to put the real checks on them. Right? Or else they will forever lepak like that, right? 做错事也不用紧, right? Can push here, push there, push to opposition. Walao, hey, like that also can, right? PAP is not going to lose power in our lifetime, even at the most optimistic measures that we can think of. Why? $1 billion for the People's Association to do their groundwork. Right? That's all for tonight. Right? So we were, just before I end, the People's Power Party is going to conduct a policy forum. We are trying to invite some other parties' leaders, right, to sit with us, to talk about our vision, our policy options, our policy views for Singapore. Lawrence Wong, don't say we don't have solutions, right? It's just that you are not listening, right? Our policy forum will be on the 21st of December, this coming month, right? 2024, right? 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Mercure Bugis Hotel, somewhere near Waterloo Street, the Guang Yi Miao there, right? But because we are a small party, we try to deflate the cost of conducting this forum, right, by charging $20 per pax, per person, for those who wish to attend. Right? Now, $20 is not going to be so-called a fundraising. It's just to cover our costs. Right? So please book the ticket, because only 100 tickets only. Because the room can only accommodate 100 people inside the room. Right? drinks will be provided for the event, right? So please book your tickets by paying to this our this one, paying to this QR code, right? And leave your name so that I know that you are going to this, or put a remark, right, for Policy Forum 2024, right? So the confirmed venue is Mercure Bugis Hotel. I'll put out the details very soon tomorrow on my Facebook, okay? And hope to see you there. Normally, pre-election forum, policy forum are very hot one. So please book your ticket as early as possible. I will stop getting, I'll stop the getting I'll stop the sales of the ticket once we reach 100, right? That's confirmed, right? So see you then. Good night and goodbye.